prioritize everything, nothing is really prioritized. And then you actually have a strategy of what do we fix first, align the organization around the goals that we have, measure against these goals, and then ultimately prioritize the resource and allocate the resource to execute. Hi, Angie. I'm looking forward to talking today about journey strategies and some of our client success stories. Of course, I know who you are, but maybe we can start with a round of introductions. I can start. My name is Anna Krementz, and I run our financial services products for NPS Prism, which includes everything from banking, insurance, and wealth and asset management.
Thanks, Anna. My name is Angie. I lead retail, auto, and airlines for NPS Prism. Anna, as you mentioned, today we're going to talk about journey strategy. So the first question for you, what is a journey strategy and why is it important?
Great question. So, journey strategy is a way to look at a holistic customer experience so that you can deliver excellent service from the start to the end of a customer touch point. And the reason it matters, right, is that a customer isn't thinking about how things are being processed in the back end. So, for example, if you think about disputing a transaction for a credit card firm, a customer doesn't think about, oh, I have to submit it here and someone internally is fixing this form and it's going to the fraud department and they're doing this and it takes 8 days. All the customer sees is that they're having to go to multiple channels and that it takes 8 days, right? And so without thinking of it as a holistic experience, you start breaking up that experience for the customer, which makes it very clunky, right? And less seamless the way the customer wants it to be. The other thing is that having customer journey strategies allows for you to ruthlessly prioritize what really matters, right? And think about the full view of the customer and really put yourself in the customer's shoes. And by doing so, you're able to prioritize in a way that makes sense, right? If you prioritize everything, nothing is really prioritized. And then you actually have a strategy of what do we fix first, align the organization around the goals that we have, measure against these goals, and then ultimately prioritize the resource and allocate the resource to execute.
That makes a lot of sense. And based on your experience and conversations with clients, what are the biggest challenges when implementing a journey strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I get this question a lot, and I'm sure you have your thoughts as well. But I think the hardest thing that we see is actually getting the organization to think about what matters most, right? In the world with so much data, you get internal data, you have external benchmarks, you have the voice of the customer programs. Sometimes it's hard to know where to actually focus. And so getting that alignment internally, both at the executive level and at the execution level, is really important. But sometimes it's hard to understand what that is, right? And it's so important to get that right because the work only starts once you prioritize that. And so getting the organization aligned is typically a harder piece of the strategy component.
Yeah, we absolutely see that in auto and retail too. And for auto especially, I think it's tricky because a lot of the journeys are touching dealers now. So now the OEMs have to align like thousands of dealers for the change. So it gets even trickier.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. So speaking of OEMs, are there any examples in your world that you've seen that OEMs have successfully identified and improved key journeys?
There are a couple of auto OEMs that I can think of. One multinational player that have been working with us for several years recognized the importance of CX in auto pretty early on. With very strong leadership team, this OEM leveraged NPS Prism to identify top 5 journeys to focus on. And two of them I want to mention today. One was completing service, and the other was app. And completing service is super interesting. It's a highly emotive and medium to high incidence journey. And it's easy to think that for OEMs, the purchase journey in the beginning of the whole customer experience is the most important one. But really, the ownership experience, like completed service, is even more important as you're really continuing the relationship with the brand.
Hmm.
So this particular OEM decided to focus on that one. And for that one, it was interesting because what matters to customers is one, ensuring expectations are met, two, being transparent about price and inclusion, three, returning a car in good condition. And they were able to focus on these 3 levers, and they actually saw a really good change on their episode NPS score, as well as that translated into relationship NPS score. And they did a similar thing for app. And app is interesting because what we saw in 2 years ago, BMW was gaining a lot of momentum in their relationship NPS. And we saw that it was really about their digital performance on the app.
Hmm.
They were not only gaining incidents, so how many, the adoption of app as well as the usage of the app, but also the app was improving according to NPS Prism data. So then this player that I've been mentioning decided to also focus on the app, and they've been gaining really great traction across all their brands on their incidents as well as their the journeys NPS score itself. And this these two episode or journeys combined, that we are seeing really great traction in the relationship NPS score. The brand NPS score is actually increasing for them too, which is super exciting for us.
That's great. And what kind of NPS improvements did they actually see? You mentioned that they've been improving those things, but is it a slow process, or, how did that actually all pan out at the end?
Yeah, good question. So definitely it was lower in the beginning. I mentioned earlier that getting the network of dealers aligned is really challenging. So for the completing service, that's very dealer driven. So it was a slow rollout in the beginning. So they ran some pilots, but now it's been rolled out nationally, and they are seeing after a year or two, they did see an episode NPS growth. And that translated to the brand NPS growth, which is the most exciting part for us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. You mentioned you also run retail. Are there any examples on the retail side that are also interesting ones that you've seen with some of the journey strategy work?
We've been working with a big box player for several years now, and they were one of our first clients. And one of the areas that they identified as an important emotive journey that is becoming more promoter creating over the time was buy online, pick up in store
Hmm.
journey. And they've been hyper focused on getting this journey right, but their focus was too much on the time. So they wanted to make sure that customers are able to buy online, pick up in store within 5 minutes, which is a very ambitious goal. But with
Absolutely.
Prism data, what they were able to identify is that it's not the 5 minute mark, it's 10 minutes. People can wait till 10 minutes and they won't be as frustrated. After 10-minute mark, their experience gets really bad and the episode NPS starts to drop to negative. But before that, people are willing to wait up to 10 minutes. So what they were able to do is that resource that they were heavily investing in getting the time under 5 minutes, they were able to relocate it to things that matter even more. So staff friendliness or making the signage super clear that when customers come, it's an easy experience for them. So they were able to kind of pivot their focus from the 5 minute mark to 10 minute mark and invest into the staff training as well as the signage. And they have seen great improvements in this journey score. And then now they're in the top five buckets of out of the 40 plus competitors in this buy online, pick up in store journey. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, so great chatting with you today.